Tim, happy with what you guys got out of that game?
Yeah, I think so. A number of guys had a good hit, and obviously our bowlers that didn't play in the Test match got a good amount of overs under their belt. So it was all good preparation heading down to Lords.
One of the talking points out of it, I mean, a lot of people asking about whether you change anything going into Lords. Did you see enough in the bowlers that if you needed to make any changes, they're giving you what you wanted?
We know that, as I've said before, we know that any combination of our bowlers can get the job done. We've got some high quality bowlers on this tour. Today wasn't about seeing anything that we haven't seen from those guys before this match. We know what we've got sitting on the sidelines. We know how good they are. They'll play a part in the Ashes if and when the conditions suit. We weren't looking at Josh Hazlewood, Mitchell, Starc thinking, gee, I hope they bowl well. We know how good they are. We know what they can do.
Anything that stood out there, I suppose, compared to Southampton? Anything they've been working on or anything different?
No, I don't think so. Mitch is obviously coming off a World Cup, so it's good for him to get another red ball bowl. And I think Josh said himself yesterday, seems every time he's bowled, he's had a pretty long layoff with his back injury. So every time he's bowled on this tour, he's got better. I thought his first spell here, both their first spells here, were really, really good. So again, we know the high quality bowl they are. Michael Nees are the same. We know if he gets the right conditions in England with a Duke's ball, he can be a real handful. So, as we've said all tour, it'll be conditions based.
Given such a tight turnaround, have you guys had a chance to look at the first test and start planning for the second one with the stuff you would have learned from that game at Edgbaston?
I think we're doing that after each day's play. We talk about it constantly, whether it's the leadership group, the coaching staff, or just the team in general. We came into the series with some plans for the English players. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. We saw some opportunities or some areas we need to tidy up from the first test, and when we get down to London tonight and tomorrow, we'll start to look a little bit closer at that. But we know the way we want to play, and I think we started pretty well in the first test, so we want to just continue to improve.
We talked after Edgbaston about the need to keep a lid on it. I suppose, have you seen that in any kind of anecdote stand out in particular or anything like that?
We're having a tour game a day after. It's a pretty good one. Obviously, one of our big things is to celebrate our victories, and particularly great ones like we had in the first test. So, we enjoyed ourselves, but with a tour game 24 hours away, it wasn't overly big, and I don't know who put that schedule together, but it seems to have worked out all right. I think the boys were actually pretty happy with it.
Stuart Broad said at Edgbaston that they had a dossier on every Australian batsman. Do you think they'll have to chuck out the Steve Smith one and rewrite it pretty comprehensively ahead of Lords?
No, not really. I mean, Steve Smith averages over 60 in Test cricket, so I think the beauty of Steve is that you can come up with a plan and he's good enough to adapt really quickly. I've seen him do it between balls, and I've seen him do it when guys have targeted him from one end at a certain way and the other end in a completely different way. I think that's what makes him the best player in the world, is his ability to adapt to any plan that he's thrown at him. I think he processes it quicker than other players and adapts on the spot.
Jim, how much of your bowling plans, though it will obviously depend on conditions, is based around control, like just for the fast bowlers, you think? More about control than just like all-out attack, as Ashes attacks in the past have been?
No, look, we're always bowling to a plan to get batsmen out. I think we just sometimes will set maybe slightly more defensive fields than we have when we've come here in the past, but there's a balance between doing that. We don't want to have everyone out in the fence and have no fielders in positions where we think we can get batsmen out. So it's about trying to find the balance between attacking their weakness and also controlling their strengths and where they can score quickly. And in England, with the grounds being a bit smaller and the outfield's a bit faster, the game can get away from you a little bit quicker. And I thought that was one of the really pleasing things we did in the first innings at Edgbaston, was we really controlled the scoreboard. And if you can do that, when you do get a little run on or a little change in weather and the ball starts to swing, you can get well ahead of the game. So there's certainly an element of control, but we still want to be making sure that we're working to get their batsmen out all the time as well. People have said in the past that being a wicketkeeper and a captain's may be a disadvantage. Now I've done it a bit more, I find it a bit more of an advantage. I can see what's happening with ball movement. I can see or feel when a bowler's getting tired, the way he's hitting my gloves, and I can see exactly where a batsman's moving to or what mark he's batting on, stuff like that. So I found that a little bit harder in this game when you can't see exactly what's happening. So you're relying on other people's information a lot, I found. So it was nice to have a bit of a spell from wicket keeping, but I'm looking forward to getting back behind it.
How long has it been since you played a game where you weren't behind the stumps?
Not very long. Most times I play club cricket. I'm in the field now, and I've played quite a few of those games over the last few years. So I'm always brushing up on the fielding skills.
And how close was that run out?
Close. I should have gone the other end though.
Tim, now you're right into it. I mean, there was such a massive preparation to the Ashes for you personally as captain, and just the mental workload and all that sort of stuff. You've got through one test now, and elation and that sort of stuff. How are you feeling, and how are you sort of handling it, and sort of any changes to as you go through the series, or you think you've planned yourself everything really well?
Well, obviously we think we've planned well, but things can change quite quickly over here, and we've got off to a good start, which is great. But we've got a whole new Test match next week, obviously in completely different conditions to what we had last week. So you can always be well planned, but I think we've got to continue to be flexible and continue to look at the conditions and continue to reassess things. And I think if we can do that and try and keep ahead of the game as much as we possibly can, then we're giving ourselves the best chance.
From your personal perspective, is it as you expected, or is it more or less intense? Are you doing more or less sort of in the planning? How are you sort of handling all that?
No, it's pretty much as I expected. Again, I'm really lucky this day and age. You've got a lot of staff around you and a lot of support as captain and players. So, we're really lucky in this modern day, if you like, as cricketers. There's a lot of support both on and off the field. So, I feel great. I think you always do after a win, but as I said, we'll get down to Lords tomorrow and it all starts again, and a lot of that sort of nervous tension and intensity comes back really quickly.
England would have been burned by that loss. So what are you expecting them from the second test?
I'm not sure, and I'm not too fussed. We need to focus on what we do well and what we can control, and that's basically as far as looking at it. I've heard a lot of talk about changes in their team and changes in conditions and all that sort of stuff, and it's something that we've spoken about constantly, is being able to adapt to any side they bring out or any conditions they're going to dish up for us, and we can control the way we prepare and control the way we want to play. As long as we're doing that, then we're giving ourselves the best chance.
And Tim, generally you look for positives in a game like this, like a warm-up game. But when for someone like Cameron Bancroft didn't have a great first test, and just the way he got out here, can that play tricks with your mind? Like, how's he been doing during this game?
He's fine. Bangers is a tough cricketer. He would have liked to have scored a few more runs, but I think he batted for over an hour or so in the first innings and faced a lot of balls. And unfortunately for the batting coach, he got out in the second innings, so he's been batting for another few hours in the nets today. And he's an extremely hard worker. He's really driven. He knows exactly how he wants to go about his cricket, and we just expect the same old Bangers. He'll front up at Lords and do his absolute best.